Rain hammered a terrace's driveway and a brass carriage lamp swung a slow pendulum against the dark. Elena Marsh turned at the curb as headlights rose too fast. A gloved hand at a wheel, then impact. A patrol light pulsed red over the wet stone. Whose car had found her there? Knox stepped through the iron gate in his charcoal peacoat. Analog watch turned face inward on his left wrist. Detective Sergeant Lean followed with the department tablet, cream shirt buttoned to the collar. She murmured that the body was already at the morgue, the vehicle held in the household garage. Knox walked the driveway. At the gate, Mara Quinn stood apart from the press pool in her forest green wool coat, notebook open, a black Uniball pen in hand. She called Lane's name and asked whether the striker vehicle belonged to the household. Lane's answer was flat. Mara wrote a line without looking down and stepped back into the rain. The coroner's van pulled away from the curb under wet street lamps. Inside, Elena's body lay beneath a sheet, one sleeve of her tan overcoat streaked with road grit, her studio portfolio zipped inside a plastic bag at her feet. The carriage lamp reflected once on the rear window before the van turned toward the morgue. In the cold morgue, Dr. Iona Hale paused at the drawer and lowered her gold wire-rimmed glasses a half-inch down her nose. She read impact geometry off her clipboard without inflection. An angled strike to the left hip. Time of death between 2045 and 2050. Bumper height at roughly 62 centimeters. Knox asked for speculation. She replied that speculation was his job. The driveway curved up through wet hedges to a slate-tiled garage. Inside, a charcoal sedan sat nose out. The council crest on the driver's side door, keys hanging on the wall peg. Knox let a gloved hand hover over the hood without touching it. Warmth rose faintly off the black metal, and a pale crescent of retreated condensation held its shape near the grille. Council member Vance Arlen met them in his book-lined study, silver hair combed straight back, a silver pocket watch chain catching the lamp. He insisted the sedan had not left the garage since the morning commute. Behind him, a mantel clock read 9 past midnight. Lean's eyes flicked to the clock, then to Knox. Knox did not answer. Knox returned alone to the garage and crouched beside the sedan's front wheel well. He photographed the retreated condensation ring with his phone held flush against the hood for scale. The pattern matched an engine shut down within the last 90 minutes, not one cold since morning. He straightened and turned the signet ring once. In the staff office, Corbin Teague told Knox he had spent the evening at Rowan Coffee 2 blocks south from 2040 through 9:15. He slid a paper receipt across the desk, close-cropped sandy hair, neat visitor's lanyard, still clipped to his lapel. Knox read it once, set it face up, and turned his watch face out and back to face in. Suspect, Corbin Teague. Stated alibi, alone at Rowan Coffee 2 blocks south from 2040 through 9:15. Inferred opportunity, 30-minute window between 2030 and 2058. Dania Nouri met them in the pantry, dark hair pulled into a low bun, cream silk blouse under a black cardigan. She admitted she had borrowed the sedan mid-afternoon for a pharmacy run to the flats. Returning at 15:30, she kept a small black notebook of household vehicle use and offered the open page. Lean photographed it. Suspect, Dania Nouri. Stated alibi. Returned the sedan at 15:30 and spent the evening at her sister's apartment in the flats. Inferred opportunity, cleared, 5 hours before the impact. At the precinct, Lean pulled the terrace's junction camera feed on her tablet. At 2047, a frozen frame caught the council sedan crossing Hill and Crown. Council crest clear on the driver's side door, windshield reflecting wet street lamps. The timestamp was unambiguous. Knox did not speak. He tapped a slow 3 count against his thumb. In the garage, Lynn pried the dashcam from the windshield bracket and eased the memory card into an evidence bag. At the precinct monitor, the card played in 3 frames, 2046-30, the sedan turning onto Crone, 2047-11, headlights rising on a figure in a tan overcoat, 2047-14, the frame jerking. 6 minutes after the aides claimed entry. At Rowan Coffee, a paper parking log printed every 15 minutes from the lot gate. Knox asked the manager for the night's full roll. The 845 print showed no vehicle matching the aide's receipt. The 900 print showed the council sedan entering only at 8:58, 18 minutes after the claimed arrival. Knox did not photograph them. The crescent holds. The minute hand stays still. At a Docks Tavern, Martin Caraway nursed a pint beside Knox, who ordered a soda water. Brown leather jacket, gray Henley, trimmed beard. He admitted a bitter text thread with Elena from the spring and produced his phone. Its pings tied him to a Docks tower from 2030 through 2215. Knox filed the thread under ruled out. Outside the precinct, Mara Quinn waited under the overhang in her forest green wool coat, notebook closed against her chest. She told Knox a prior Terrace's resident had come to her last month about a minor off-hours fender strike by the council sedan that never made a written report. She walked off into the rain. In the staff office, Knox asked Corbin Teague to repeat his Rowan order. Corbin recited it. A flat white, an almond croissant. A second flat white at 9:15. Knox asked again. On the second pass, the second flat white sat on a menu that stopped serving it after 7. Corbin's jaw set. At the evidence locker, Rook Cho sealed the sedan key fob into a tagged bag. Navy Ashvale PD polo black latex gloves, a silver stud in his left ear. He logged the number flat on his tablet and slid it onto the shelf. Down the aisle, a figure in a gray officer jacket lifted the bag, set it back, turned away. Minutes don't lie. People do. Past midnight, Knox tacked a printed timeline across his corkboard. Dashcam frames, the Rowan parking log, the junction camera still, the condensation photograph clustered in order across the cork. Lean brought 2 mugs of black coffee and stood beside him without speaking. The timeline did not need explaining. A sepia wash fell over the Rowan coffee interior as the aide's claimed account played back. Corbin had been at the corner booth, he said, from 2040 through 9:15 working a laptop, and a flat white. The lights were warm. The barista nodded. A receipt was stamped. The minute hand read 9:09. The board rebuilt itself as a strip of hour-minute ticks between 2030 and 21:15. Event markers landed in order. Corbin leaving the garage. The claimed Rowan entry. The dash cam engaging on Krona. The impact at Hill and Crone. The Oistod UA. The actual lot entry at 8:58. The 2040 marker pulsed red and crossed itself out. Morning in the evidence locker. Knox pulled the key fob bag from the shelf and turned the tag to the overhead light. The badge number was neither Rook Cho's nor the overnight watch officer's. Knox held the bag a beat, breath stopping for 1 frame, thumb resting on the ink. His wristwatch, turned face inward, kept its sweep. Knox stood at the briefing room corkboard with the suspects and the council member's lawyer in a half circle. He walked the night in order. The household notebook cleared the housekeeper. The docks tower pings cleared the ex-husband. The dash cam at 2046. The junction camera at 2047. The Rowan parking log absence, and the engine heat condensation converged on one driver, Corbin Teague. Corbin Teague did not move when his name landed. Beside him, his lawyer rose in a gray tailored suit, silver bob catching the light, and placed a thick binder of filings on the table. She asked the captain to produce the key fob for the official record. The captain hesitated 1 beat too long, then nodded to Rook Cho. Rook Cho set the key fob bag on the table and read the tag number flat. The lawyer's finger stopped on a line in her binder, a custody entry bearing a different badge number from the hours the bag sat on the shelf. The physical linkage was no longer admissible. Corbin Teague walked past Knox without a word. At the end of the precinct hallway, Lean caught Knox's sleeve before he turned toward the captain's office. Her voice was quiet. She said the badge number was a question for another night, and tonight the case was closed whether the court would hear it or not. Knox held her gaze a beat longer than procedure. In his apartment that evening, Knox slotted the dashcam memory card into a small, unlabeled metal tin on his desk. Inside, other cards, other copies, other prints rested in orderly rows. He closed the tin without writing on it and set it back on the shelf above his corkboard. Mist thinned over the terrace's overlook. Lean stood at the stone wall, looking down over wet slate roofs. Knox lifted his peacoat off his own shoulders and settled it over hers without a word. In his left hand, he turned a folded copy of the evidence tag once. Another tag, the wrong badge number, a pattern he cannot yet name.